LGD's turn to pick.
Laner, and that's really a strong priority right now in this patch.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. PSG LGD. Team Liquid's
Now,
turn to ban.
that is early. Yeah, you're not gonna do much to Dusa. It's funny. That's one of the funny things with Dusa as well. Like her barrier reduces damage before any sort of reductions from your armor. So it also kind of ruins minus armor strats on the hero because, well, if you minus your armor, it doesn't matter. You're still doing whatever your base damage would have been to her without those modifications or those amplifications. So Dusa doesn't care. And now you can kind of ban to protect, right? Like, you don't care about illusion heroes because you have the Beastmaster, so you could leave the PL in the pool. You could leave the Nog in the pool. Like, you can leave all of these things in, and you can just ban out these matchups that the Dusa hates. So it's showing your hand a little bit early for LGD, but yeah, they covered their bases. Yeah, you're not doing much.
PSG LGD's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, just take away anything with a diffusal that can melt through your Medusa. It kind of handles the Beastmaster army fairly well as well. So I like that protective ban. Liquid will pick up the Ench as it has been left in the pool. So you have to deal with a little bit of a back and forth with creep stealing from the Beastmaster, if that's something that we'll be concerned about down the line. Can Beastmaster's build-up is still fairly open. We did see Tino still go back for the Overlord, but eventually you go for the Ags. I know a few players from China specifically have been going for Aura Beastmaster or just straight up Ags Rush. So it's fairly open in what LGD wants to do to just make the Ench a non-issue. The Ench is interesting into the Dusa because it is pure damage, so it's pretty painful still. Like, you melt more of the mana shield than a few others would, but it's also, it doesn't feel like it's enough. I still think for Liquid you want a diffusal carrier, and LGD into their support duo, Hoodwink Elder Titan. Good way of just, it is, right? Like, you've got a lot of Chain Suns coming out. If you see something like the Terrorblade now, you have something of a solution in Elder Titan. So you have some answers on hand, although again, the core for the Dusa or even for the Beastmaster, it's not particularly amazing. Although I'd argue Beastmaster in lane can feel good against Terrorblade with the Axis build. So you have some solutions for some scaling here that you are watching out for from Liquid's safe lane for LGD. I think the one issue you have with this kind of lineup and with your bans is you're leaving a lot of high mobility heroes for Nisha to dance around with. You have decent enough lockdown with a Hoodwink, and once Roar is up, you kind of cover some of your bases, but it's not like it's not like it's the most reliable either. And I think Nisha is the kind of player who can just kind of dodge out some of these more telegraph stuns on something like, say, a Storm if you wanted to go for that. Maybe the Void Spirit. You have a lot of options here. You go with the Morph first.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
seconds remaining.
Yeah. They can.
Team Liquid's turn
Yeah,
to ban.
definitely does. I think looking at the bans again, we see the mids being banned out, Ember and Void Spirit being taken out, so some of those high mobility heroes already out of the pool. Will you leave the Storm? I'm not sure if it's really an amazing Storm game for either side, but again, there's not too much to be worried about if you do take that high mobility hero, in this case for Liquid. So I wouldn't mind it too much. I am curious why Liquid just kind of ignored a Nyx solution to the Medusa. Because LGD also just kind of ignored the Nyx instead of the Ench pick. Sure, your lane doesn't sound amazing. Maybe like a Nyx Morphling doesn't sound great. Underlord Nyx also doesn't sound great. But you Vendetta Medusa. And the entire point of this hero is just kind of dead. So, would have been a simpler way to kind of handle this Medusa pick. If they were worried, there is still like early tempo you can do to just prevent the Medusa from farming into the stats. I think it's worrying when the Medusa has Manta and Scotty, because she is tanky enough to cop through a lot of hits. And even the illusions are really hard to manage with her own mana shield up. That's actually pretty damn painful. So, yeah, I'm still keen to see if Liquid has any direct solution. I think the Morphling's great. And they do ban out the Storm and LGD. So just preventing mobility up. And they banned a Primal Beast on Liquid. What else is left? Something aggressive for LGD I think would be great. Alchemist!
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah,
5 seconds
I feel like if you get a bad lane for the Alch, you could still run it off lane, playing a bit more passive, and just farm and have the Beastmaster mid. Because I think Beast mid, again, with Axis, it's pretty solid. Like, you don't mind too much, you can still farm, apply decent harassment. Most of the mobile heroes that can dodge out your spells are gone, save for maybe something like the Quap or the Puck, if Team Liquid want either of those for Nisha on the mid lane. So I think he can kind of do that. I think Monkey King works. It's maybe annoying to be scouted out by the Hawks. At the same time, it's a potential diffusal carrier, can win out against most mid matchups.
Monkey King.
You may now select your heroes.
Yeah, comes out. Yeah, it's a great solution. The laning matchup up against an Alch shouldn't be too bad. You can kind of dodge out the unstable concoction harassment as well, if Nisha plays his cards right. So I'm keen to see how fast Liquid will want to play. I think they can play a lot faster than LGD. And going back into the Alchemist and the Medusa, these heroes do need some time, do need some jungle space to go. Although there are ways to play the Alch faster. I'm just not entirely sure if that's not what Nothing to Say will gun for in order to give Shiro some space. There's also still a little bit of a question at what Zeal's buildup will be on the Beastmaster, because it doesn't seem like an amazing Ags game. Perhaps just the Aura buildup on Beastmaster is good enough. Maybe the Overlord Rush, as there's no solution for the Ancient Creep, so I wouldn't mind either one. I think when it comes down to draft execution, Liquid's is a little bit easier to play. Like, if I had to take one of these drafts out and play it myself, I think the pacing from Liquid's a little bit better. I'm worried about LG for going for a slower mid and safe lane, and to an extent a slower off lane as well. So I think just these early spikes that Liquid get, the aggression they can get out with the Underlord on hand, and just how fast they can play the game is one thing I'm kind of worried about for LGD in here.
Prepare for battle.
Yeah, should be a great one. I think there's a lot of back and forth that can happen here. If LGD isn't completely shut down early, their scaling is pretty scary. With Medusa and Alchemist, both of these heroes can just farm up really damn well. And we have seen what happens when you do allow Medusa some space, like in that TSM game up against 9 Pandas. It didn't quite fully work out, but we saw the potency of Medusa with just a couple of stat items and illusions coming out on the Manta. It is fairly tanky. Those illusions do hurt. The farming pace with split shot damage being so high now feels pretty damn good. So you really do want to shut down early if you are on Liquid right now. Just prevent that farm game from coming online at all. And I do believe Nisha is queuing up that diffusal we were mentioning. So looking for that utility, looking for that burn. As long as he wins out mid and the tempo comes out, you'll have a good timing on it.
The battle begins.
Huh? Ooh. That's a big one. They waste a lot of resources. I think they threw out a blood grenade as well. And they were trying to hand a kill over, but they lose out in that kill instead. So you get a little bit more of leeway. You can just kind of reset for Boxy, the solo lane. For the Morphling, it is fairly annoying. At the same time, you at least can kind of shift around. Maybe ask for some regen on the Rubik's return. So not too bad to manage. Taking a look at that mid. Pretty even to start with. I don't think the Alk feels too bad in the first 2, maybe 3 levels. Although Nisha can start to apply some pressure once he can threaten with a Boundless. For the most part, you just drop the Acid Spray for nothing to say. Farm up. It is harder for the Alchemist to look for the aggression. With Unstable, again, having this dodge and a Mischief does mean that the aggressive Alken lane isn't quite there. So Nisha shouldn't be under any threat early on. So it should be relatively stable farming. Yeah, I'd say pretty much almost no damage. I mean, you'll burn maybe at lower levels around 20 mana per tick of damage. Hmm? Is he just sending... No, I thought he had his spirit out. Oh yeah, he does. It's gonna cross the map, I guess.
Denied.
You don't really get too much aggression out with the Medusa. Double range at least pokes the Underlord a little bit better. It's not like the Elder Titan's too comfy running up to the Underlord or the Enchantress around as well. You can kind of play top. Just try to get your spirits out, get some harassment onto the Rubik. They're not as scary with their damage output so far early on. I'm wondering if Y will keep trying to get that spirit run through the map, because I think there is a lot of potency in winning your lane that way. I mean, nothing to say though.
And there was blood everywhere. Oh my. Too easy.
I think he did.
Gold for my forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I mean, again, like, the Monkey King has that advantage with the levels up. You can't really threaten here for nothing to say. He'll try again, but okay, he gets a stun off without being punished this time around. So he'll get some harassment off, but he's going to need to recover. Like, the slower laning start for the Alk, especially in mid, does not feel great. Down bot, though.
You can't tell me what to do. I tell me what to do.
Ooh.
Eyes. Ten.
Pathetic.
They get the gate usage out. They come in. They swap their lanes as well. They send the Enchantress up top. Jinsane is just going to be camping along with Mike. And you're already off to a good footing for Liquid. Right? You're applying pressure onto these two cores. The Alchemist and the Medusa already won that in. Doesn't feel like the supports are able to really go for stacks too much. We're not seeing Boar Micro as well from Zeal to try to build up some stacks in the Ancients. So the recovery plan for these two heroes, it's a little bit rougher. I mean, you're at the point where Nothing to Say is just even being contested in his jungle by Boxy. It's not a kill threat they wreck. Oh, okay, maybe it's a kill threat.
Wait up.
A death not fit for man. Learn from my example.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
They're working everything out. Liquid, they've got that aggression early. They've got really good rotations coming out from Boxing and Insignia. Oh my god. Did he get... Oh, he got lifted. No, he has no TP as well. That is painful. He's stuck.
Underestimated you. Look at you.
Yikes.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I think he is. Okay. And he has a mango. Oh my god, this is pain. Yeah, this is kind of what we expected coming out with this kind of draft, though, right? That you've got that aggression on Liquid, you can just run down. Maybe not expecting something like a lift back on the cliff side, but yeah, you find it to get this early aggression, take the mid, shut down map space. Like, now you've got an Alk and a Medusa who both need recovery farm to hit their initial items. Nothing to Say is trying to go for the Meteor Hammer. The timing is going to feel rather off, and just finding wins in every other lane.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's just a shove away. And even with all that attention to the sides, you know, it's not like you're getting that much more space out for your other cores. Like, Shiro can't really do much against the Underlord. I mean, he's not going to die solo. At the same time, you're not the comfiest farming hero either. You need that support on hand to threaten back. They will at least find some punishment onto Boxy. He did manage to still steal the Wisdom. Yeah, you're happy.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
It's painful right now for LGD, but Liquid playing it perfectly. Now, playing to their strengths. Like, this build-up for the Diffusal and Nisha, it's not going to take too long at all. They get the gate out as well, just to get a reset.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
you going?
Dire's courier has been killed.
I usually make the choice to myself. I'll
How
make
about a friendly duel, Rubik? I'll remember this.
Dire's courier has been killed.
that cat today.
Oh my god. They had to sleep the neutrals as well, just in case Nothing to Say gets bonked. So they bail out. They get some good punishment out on LGD. It takes a lot of resources. But they finally get some space going for themselves. Some important kills to find. You protect Shiro. Get some activity out from Nothing to Say. And you're getting that build up top in the solo lane where the Morphling can't really provide kill threats solo to Beastmaster. So you're trading out a little bit for this movement. On the side of Liquid, have to be cautious about overcommitting like that. And you are ahead. Still have to respect that there is output here. And Medusa is still here with a lot of mana. You know, level 2 mana shield, 996 mana. It takes a while to burn through that. You don't have anything bursty on hand to just clear that out either. At least not until the fuse ults up, and then the Monkey King feels a lot better, but jumping Shiro way beneath the tower is a risk. I do like the mindset though. They know what they have to do. Invading Ancients now. Ooh. They're kind of out of gas at the moment. Again, still lacking levels on a lot of these heroes, already expending the roar earlier on from LGD. They are stopping the snowball effect from kicking in for Liquid, at the least. Again, just not bleeding out these kills, getting some space out for other cores while your Alchemist kind of just front lines and tanks it for the team even without that Chemical Rage up. And again, just working onto the Nature Hammer.
A good soaking.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Still somewhat worthwhile, especially with the Alch in the game here. So you don't mind trading your life away too much. It's a little bit of recovery coming out for Nothing to Say. You are still getting pressured across the lanes with objectives though. Like, bot is just going to be taken away with Insania having the summoner creep.
Bottom tower has fallen.
So more map space open, a little bit harder to reach out for LGD. Not like they had too much control down there anyway, considering that, well, they've just been constantly run down. They don't have vision. But it's still an area to farm for a lot of these cores. Nothing to Say though.
Wait up.
And we've seen this from a few Alks. For the most part, if an Alk gets even a tiny room of space, it just accelerates so fast. But with how far and how shut down Nothing to Say is, it just doesn't feel like we'll see that same Alchemist come out at all. Bottom network core, barely above Insania in terms of farm right now. Map space just so limited with you having to give the safer farm out to Shiro. So he's just going to cop it every single time. And I mean, this Alk, it feels like it's going to be zero impact for quite some time. You are trading that for farm on Zeal as well. So you've got the mech, the arcane boots up, going into the drums and the Ags next. Still going back for the Ags build. I don't mind that too much. At the same time, it's not the most amazing Beastmaster Ags game, but with good timing into it, like, you frontline pretty well. You can at least disrupt these fights nicely and still have a lot of impact, but it is tempo.
These rights are with us. you going?
Did not get you littering, bro.
That was a close one.
No way!
Ooh.
Wounded to my heart.
A kiss. And then good night.
And you have to find every kill that you can get when you're this far behind like you are on LGD. Liquid more than happy to kind of let that slip by. Because now Nisha has the full defusal flying in. You've got pretty much a free game for Mika. Uncontested up top, never under any pressure. Going straight for the Manta next. And it doesn't feel like you really have a good solution to that Morphling here as well for LGD. Outside of maybe your core-to-core matchup with Dedusa eventually getting a Scotty, perhaps. That's the point where you feel comfy, but again, we're a long ways off from that. And Liquid, with that fresh defusal on Nisha, just go for a smoke play. If you find Shiro, he's probably dead.
We owe you one. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's courier has been killed.
Yeah, he's been left alone too long. Which is down to LGD not being able to play as aggressive. You know, they're just stuck on their side of the map. They're not able to really cross that river. They haven't been able to find any objective as well. So, yeah, you don't have a clean solution again for that Morphling just yet. The farm difference, it's really just down to Nakinsei being behind, but he's getting a little bit of room out. Eventually, this Alchemist will be somewhat relevant again, although not with an item advantage, but at item parity, at least the hero can do something in the middle of these fights. Ooh.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Quite dangerous, this one.
A shame to tame the tail.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had a good amount of magic wand up, and yeah, the man beats just to keep her alive. It's value for the Dedusa. Nothing to say.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures
That'll
are
foster a
fortified.
point.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Come get healed. Wait up.
Oh.
Killing spree. Double kill.
Okay, that's some beautiful punishment coming out from LGD. And those kills bounced them back into parity with Liquid, giving Shiro a lot of these kills as well. Dedusa now working to her own Diffusal Blade, has some stats up with a Manta style, and we can see how durable Shiro is. Like, unless you somehow just lock in Dedusa into a good duration on that Wukong's, Dedusa just doesn't quite die. And Mika, I mean, he tries to clean up, comes in. He's confident with a Manta. He is hard to kill as well, but it's hard to burst most of these heroes down on LGD. Like, the most burstable target right now is probably just Planet, as even the Alchemist, just with that Solar Crest, is more than tanky enough with a Chemical Rage running. So, side of Liquid, they had some good tempo, they had some great ideas, but they've not been able to apply that pressure. And again, we've seen these kinds of heroes, the Dusa and the Alc in particular, from teams like TSM, where you have a rough early game. If you just hold out, stall for quite some time, these heroes become relevant, and they still scale. So you just have to ride out this rough early to mid game, which Liquid has provided, but if they don't start to find these kills lining up for themselves once more, as it was in the first 10 minutes of the game for Liquid, then you have some questions about your scaling here.
Well, ain't this cute?
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
This is
So
mayhem.
just...
I'm having a good hair day.
I don't mind that.
Dire's middle
Like,
tower
I
is
think
under
he's got
attack.
enough stats at the moment to feel confident. He's going to work into the Skadi next. The Diffusal allows him to play around, get the inhibit off, maybe just try to counteract the Morphling as well, which I think there's an interesting that you can do if you do morph into the Dusa.
Radiant's bottom
Maybe it's just to counteract our own mana shield on Liquid down the line, which is
Dire's
fair.
middle tower
Yes,
has
that is pretty annoying without any mana burn on hand. They will find the mid, so they're finding some objectives.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yep. It's a kill they needed on Liquid. And you want to apply pressure to these cores. They find the big kill on, I think, say to, again, stimmy his catch-up, slow down his farm a little bit more. Side of LGD, though, I don't know if you really mind anymore that the Alchemist is behind, because your Dusa is your true win condition this game. Again, Shiro's managed to work himself up within striking distance of Mika and farm, and Mika has just been farming this entire game. He's not been pressured. He hasn't died. So the fact that the Deuce is up there in farm as well, that's good news for LGD. Like, the investment is paying off. I like that they switched this build on Zeal as well for just durability. Like, mech up instead of the Ags, going for the pipe. So more damage mitigation, going for the blink next just to have some good jump on hand for LGD. Because again, this isn't a particularly amazing Ags game. Maybe it's a 5th item pickup or a freebie from Roche, you're fine with it, but certainly not the top priority.
Bloody bounty!
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire are scanning.
Yeah,
Dire's top tower is under attack.
yeah, it's
Dire's
big
top
just to have that
tower has
freebie on here
fallen.
that can farm decently, but does tend to need a lot of utility to maximize something like the
Radiant are
Shard.
scanning.
So a freebie like that is big. Still a smoke up here from LGD. Don't find anything up top, but might be able to get a weird wraparound down south. Oh, God.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, like that was a very weird set of circumstances. Maybe nothing to say. Quelled as well in the nick of time. Yeah, the one bright side for Liquid is they forced the first BKB charge of Nothing Say out. So you do waste a resource from LGD, but losing Nisha now, this Monkey King has stopped farming for quite some time. Yeah, Nisha's kind of wanted to play pacing with a quick Diffusal build-up, but he hasn't been able to find those kills. Not in the past. It almost feels like 10, maybe 12 minutes. Like since the 10-minute mark in that laning phase, it's just kind of slowing down to a crawl, which favors LGD massively. They're putting Cheer up front. They have the respawn. They could try. Yeah, it does feel pretty damn good. And again, you get pretty durable, which is why this Diffusal pick on Medusa is fairly interesting. It deals with the Enchantress stealing your illusions out. It deals with a Morphling turning into you a little bit. I'll keep chasing here.
I'll get over it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
LGD.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
You're still smoked here on LGD.
Don't run off.
Quite dangerous, this one.
Watch my head.
Punishment you want on Liquid. It's not the biggest kill, but they could.
I'm not opposed to taking
Yeah, they've got the output. I think the space given to Shiro is pretty indispensable though, like Scotty up. So this is the point where the Medusa does get pretty scary. You've got a decent amount of strength now, just from your item build up. You've got a lot of mana to play with your mana shield. The hero is really durable up front, and whether or not you can actually just fully focus on Liquid onto the Deuce, it feels very difficult with the counter control you have from LGD. They've got to find a way to isolate Shiro, maybe kill off the supports first for Liquid. Like if they kill off Planet and Y, I think their fight's simplified to the point where you can handle the Deuce. It's cooking up. You know, every 7 minutes it feels better. Feels worthwhile. No one's picking it up anyway from the enemy side. Compound interest, I suppose. Somewhat. Oh yeah, that's the feeling.
Illusion.
Yeah, I'm surprised Liquid are taking it a little bit more conservatively, not looking to do too much for the Aegis just yet. Perhaps feeling like Mika does need some defensive items up, so he's working onto the BKB. He had the Scotty queued up earlier, changes his mind for a little bit more spell immunity on hand, which is fair. There is a lot of damage, a lot of control coming out here from the side of LGD, and we have seen what happens when some of these heroes get pinned down. Like Nisha pre-BKB was just very easy to manage. Even with the BKB, with some of your debuff, immunity, piercing spells, it does still feel awful in trying to chase up. You might find some stragglers though.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
We'll take that.
They are very weird. Like, yeah, they're weird. I think as a TP point, they're still really useful, but that's really all they do now. No vision, no EXP. It's not a top priority, But you can feel the difference when you don't have outpost control and there's a fight breaking out for sure. Or trying to position for a smoke. It does make it a little bit more awkward. But yeah, it's not as important as, say, the Wisdom Runes, the Tormentors. Those are definitely higher value. Even controlling the Twin Gates feels a little bit better than controlling Outpost. Because it's a freebie. So, it's a strange one. Yeah. It's just way too important.
Radiant's
Especially since you get some value, as they are also a little bit of a Roche ward. So it's both of that, like cross-map control and a Roche ward at the same time. Gives you a lot. Efficiency. Yeah. Spend your gold and resources wisely. You get more done with less. Always feels good. For Liquid, this pacing, I mean, it's not the worst in the world. They still have a slight net worth lead, but you're going into late game now, up against Dusa and Alchemist. Like, the Alchemist is fully recovered. You are now, again, not in top net worth, but you're not bottom. You're not kind of tied with your Enchantress anymore for that net worth spot, so it's not as bad. They go into the Tormentor, and they get the free shard onto their Hoodwink as well, so that's pretty big. The Boomerang can help soften up. Massive.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, you definitely can. Like, you can kind of stack it up. You do have enough with that added duration. I think you could maybe borderline do 3. Although that's, like, really, really tight. But you could maybe do it. And that's just scary. Like, the Hoodwink does so much with a couple of items up, and down the line, if you can get like a crit stick up, those acorn shots just start to hurt way more. It doesn't take too much investment on the Hoodwink to kind of reach that point. Like, you could argue the same for an Enchantress, and Sanya has that potential scaling as well. But he has been acting more as fodder. You know, he's not really getting too much space to try to build up himself. And LGD, with just that one pick-off, go into a tier 2 tower themselves, so they get a little bit more control. They force out the Fortify, but Liquid aren't in any position to contest so far. And for Liquid, again, a lot of this momentum swings away. Like, they had Aegis, they go back to farming, they try to get this build-up on Mike, on Nisha. And some of that build-up is reflecting. Like, Mike is going into the Butterfly next. That could be the one way to just prevent this physical output from coming through for Nothing to Say and Shiro. But this Deuce is just too big. I don't know if you have enough to burst her down.
Invisibility.
Excellent.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Cuts off their movement. One more. No. It's fair. Just take that free shard for yourselves here. Still have a lot on the line. Should go to our Ench, which... No, it actually ends up on Monkey King. Alright.
Nature attend us.
Yeah, I'll be frank with you that I don't actually know how useful this is. It feels like it could be useful in certain situations. In this game, yeah, in general. Like, I just don't see this enough. So, like... my god, the output. Why is Shiro stuck? How is Shiro stuck?
I guess you're mortal then.
That makes two.
I'm so confused. Shiro was stuck on the gate? I think the Fiend's Gate spawned right on top of him and he was just stuck. He couldn't move. Yeah, he literally couldn't move. He was just stuck there with his Silver Edge. So he couldn't hit, he couldn't retreat. And that gives him the kill. I don't know if that was on purpose at all from Liquid. I think it was just... Maybe it was, but they didn't have vision to hit the Dusa, so I'm guessing just very happy coincidence. And they clean up once the Dusa doesn't have that backup. It does take some time, but... The Dusa, when the Mana Shield is gone, like, it does still melt, even at 1.2k HP, which is really not that much. So... Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was still on the Silver Edge. I thought he was trying to channel through the gate, but he wasn't. He was just stuck. Like, his hero hitbox was just fluctuating. It was weird.
Oh, who needs a cloud?
That's pretty... Yeah, he's stuck. I told you. It's like, what the hell? He's just there. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I remember that one. It's pretty painful to lose a fight that way for the side of LGD. And that could have been their way to get more map control off, start to shut this game down. With Liquid, they stay in it. And they're ready to go again.
Throw the deck. Didn't you hear me telling you to throw it?
They're not forcing it out here on Liquid. Playing it patient. They see that butterfly up now on Shiro, so his EHP expands massively with the evasion. It's going to be a little bit troublesome to deal with. You don't really have magical burst on hand. Again, kind of handle that Dusa. But they're not willing to surrender here. Yeah, he needs it. He definitely needs it.
Thrice committed.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Love dies.
It's going to be a pretty fast take as well with the damage they have. Would have been a lot faster with the Alchemist. And not to say it's not there to provide some of that minus armor. A little bit awkward in that fight for Liquid. I mean, Boxy ends up stealing Split Shot at the start of that fight, so he doesn't do anything at all. And that's one of the awkward things with Rubik. You can kind of steal these toggles. So you don't have that utility on the Rubik to take a bigger spell. You waste your Force Stabs in trying to save your Underlord who still falls, and that means you can't kind of try to ping pong around to kite the Deuce away from your bigger cores, and they just get to clean up. LGD bouncing back in this fight in quite strong form, and if you can't hit the Deuce, then it's a tough time for you. Those MKBs have to come out. We are seeing Mika actually skip the MKB now, instead going for a Satanic. So wanting some durability up front, which is understandable. Like, having a little bit more to stay alive in the middle of these fights does feel like it could give them an edge on Liquid, but that leaves Nisha, for the most part, as your solution to the Medusa. Right, like, he's still kind of queuing up the MKB. He's going for the Halberd. It's all in on Nisha to handle that hero matchup, but I'm not... It's a little bit rough, especially with your BKB down to 6 seconds. The counter control from LGD is there, and they've been really good at helping Shiro stay alive. Like, he's got the full disperser up. We finally see that upgrade as well in the core. I believe we saw Timato also upgraded. It feels really good that the Diffusal is just not a dead item slot late game. And back to your point about this Alk scaling into the late as well. Like, corrosive weaponry is not to be underestimated. Like, that status resist drop is huge if he manages to build max stacks. The control that comes in is just insane. I'm surprised Nothing Says doubling down for more armor, but the Shivas does feel helpful in reducing a lot of the healing here as well. And I suppose you don't... Yeah, the attack speed down helps Shiro. You don't really have too much else to worry about. It is mainly physical. So I suppose just doubling down on that durability is all you kind of need here.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is falling.
Got double stun.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Who said you could
Top of this.
Oh my god.
So pure. I hardly had to unhinge my jaw.
They still have the Aegis. Like, they still have that Stone Gaze as well. They didn't have to pop it in Shiro. They can go high ground.
Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's structures are fortified.
It's paid off. Like, all that space he managed to give Shiro. Jumping in.
Dire's turret has been killed.
Snake reborn.
It's working.
Oh my... No buyback!
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
This could be the end. No buybacks. It's Nisha against the world. And he's not enough. The damage is there from Shiro.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Oh man. LGD.
Victory!
That was just sick. Like, Liquid have this really good pacing coming out. You know, it's as we expect coming out in the lanes. They crush pretty much every lane, it feels like, as they...
Team Aster's turn to ban.
Some adjustments, well-needed adjustments, coming in the way of TSM. Aster, though, I don't think they'd want to change too much, considering it went as good as it did in that first game. They started off by betting out the Enchantress, and yeah, would you say you wanted some adjustments, Peter, coming out from Aster, or are you quite happy with what you saw?
Well, I actually, I wasn't loving Aster's draft, but I think they're just proving that they're the far superior team in this matchup. So as long as their draft isn't, they're not too big of a disadvantage, I think they're favored to take this series. They're just playing better Dota.
Right, this is the time. TSM's back's against the wall. Basically nothing to lose. Pick some weird shit.
Like what?
Techies and Pudge in the same lineup.
Techies 4.
Techies goes in with the blast off. Pudge gets shard and blinks in and eats the Techies. And it's all because they have a Timber Saw with the Ags on the back line.
Oh my god.
That's the true strat.
That makes so much sense.
Thank you.
I think they're setting up for this here with the Coddle pick. You were talking about TSM.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
It is very good that they get their hands on the Beastmaster. That's a highly coveted hero at the moment.
Yep, I like the opener. Honestly, from both sides.
Oh, look at this graphic. This is a layer special. Shout out to JJ and Boot.
Whoa.
Just terrific.
I was very
new
confused
tech.
for a second.
I am confused.
CM was stolen, meaning it was on the side of Aster last time. You see?
Yeah.
The banned means it was banned.
Underlord was picked first last game.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's not correct.
It's banned. It's in beta.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's in beta.
Fair enough. Anyways, they went back for the Underlord, or Aster now has Underlord on their side this time. Pretty good hero versus Beastmaster. Good at slowing down the summons and that push. Works well with Caudle. Definitely a strong off lane. Hard to really beat a Caudle Underlord when they're just pushing every wave into your tower.
10 seconds remaining.
Underlord was stolen. JJ making me look stupid again.
5 seconds remaining.
Whoa. I do like the fact that JJ is making it look stupid again, but I also do like the CM plus Beast opening a little bit more than what we saw the last time, which was Underlord Ench. Then again, that opening's not that bad, but at least these heroes, like, they have stuns. They're both very good at laning. I really like CM on this patch because she can go through the portals, and she's one of the most devastating heroes to show up.
You like her because she can go through the portals.
Because she's good at going through the portals. Like, there's some heroes that go through the portals and show up and you're just like, what are you doing
I think
here?
what you're trying to say is CM is very good levels 1 to 4.
Yeah.
And she can rotate, not the fastest hero, but she can rotate, and when she gets to that lane, she can help set up a kill.
Yeah.
I think she's better because she has a global aura. The map is 40% bigger, so she's 40% more effective, technically speaking.
That is technically true.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but it's always the same amount of heroes that have advantages of that.
So you
Doesn't
say there might be some bugs though with some
TSM
creeps. You don't know that yet, Sheever.
Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm with the CM being a slow hero. Normally she can't rotate because she's too slow. Now the portals are there. She actually turns into a rotating hero, which,
Especially at
What do you
nighttime.
guys think of
That logic
Beastmaster
checks out.
having 50 mana for the axes?
10
I think
seconds
Ice Frog
remaining.
playing Beastmaster lately.
I mean, he was already doing amazingly, and then they buff him,
seconds
and now you have
remaining.
extra mana with the CM, of course, which we mentioned was global.
Yeah.
Plus 40% global.
Very good.
Aster's turn to ban.
Okay, so now that we know what's going to be strong on the side of TSM, we got ourselves a Beastmaster. How do you stop a Beastmaster from getting out of control?
You kill him.
Right?
I think he cares that.
Defending the tier 1 tower.
Okay.
You want to slow down his pace. Beastmaster wants to take your tower,
10 seconds
then
remaining.
take control of the entire jungle, and continue to be at like that top of that net worth.
5 seconds
Get his helm of the Overlord, grab that ancient creep, and then start going with his team. Slow that timing down as much as you can.
I don't know if TSM was surprised by Sumail playing the Caudle, but now they should at least know that this is a major flex potential as well. I mean, what do you pick against Caudle? Let's assume it's mid. What's a good matchup?
Punka. Punka's a good matchup.
Punka's good. Caudle, I would consider it a very sort of slippery hero. He's always like on the edge of the battlefield, coming in and out with these long-range spells. Can you jump first? Can you jump on top of him, or can you lock him down with something like a Dream Coil or Punka
10
X,
seconds
as you said?
remaining.
I thought the Ricky. I don't think it was the best Ricky game, but in theory, I think that Ricky mid can also be good against Caudle because he's got the blink strikes to chase after the Force Staff.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody just needs to buy a harpoon is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
that
harpoon
item.
would be good.
Sumail technically bought, I don't know if the graphic was wrong, because I didn't see him actually purchase it, but he had a disperser
No, that was wrong.
on Coddle.
That was wrong. He did not.
So
have that.
what exactly was the item?
He had regular Coddle. It was Octarine Sheepstick. I don't know where the disperser came from. I saw that too, and I was like, wait, what?
I was like,
Yeah, Force Staff, Vessel, Octarine, Sheep.
Yeah.
Okay, they pick Phoenix, so they don't really have an egg killer on Aster's side, and these might be two supports coming if they're gonna keep Sumail mid, but we'll see.
You know which hero really fell off after the first couple of days? Marana. Great egg killer, by the way.
Snapfire's been garbage in this patch as well.
Only really saw LGD prioritizing Marana.
Yeah.
I don't mind Marana. I think the hero's still relatively strong, always a pretty good laner. The Moonlight Shadow is just great throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Also good at going through the portals, especially if you have a setup stun in the other lane. You can just throw an arrow from long range.
So you'd like to see an egg hitter, is that what we're saying? You need somebody to kill that?
Imba spirit.
Okay, well there's the Sumail hero, so this means Coddle is likely to be support.
Yep. Coddle Ember, great combo. Allows you to basically chain your searing chains, almost.
Oh, good call.
Would you look at that, Sheever?
Yeah.
You don't sound
Marana.
too excited.
I am. I mean, I'm happy that it's Marana because I think it fits well.
Yeah, you have Pit and Searing Chains into Arrow, so two setups technically in the laning stage.
Yep, and somebody that can, pew pew, kill that egg. And he can arrow the Beastmaster Dominator creep.
5 seconds remaining.
Yep, that is true.
Very good.
What's the response? Probably gonna thinking about their they're gonna have to pick. They could pick their carry or their mid. Depends on which one they want to prioritize.
They could Huskar, but then
I like Ursa a lot.
On side of TSM?
Yes.
that sounds really good actually against Underlord and Ember.
Yeah, you want to punish this melee Underlord in lane as much as you can. Ember also, I think, is not that great versus Ursa. Ursa, this burst physical damage hero. Doesn't really care about that fire shield. Is very good at sort of shaking off all these stuns and disables with his ultimate.
A similar option would be Slark, which Tomato has been playing.
Yep, Slark can be good too.
We'll see if they go on the side of comfort.
They have overall last pick. Would you rather overall last pick your carry or your mid? Or is it you want to pick your mid here because you already know you're up against an Ember?
You need to consider how many heroes and how many options you have available. Like we mentioned 2, for example, but those 2 heroes could very well be banned. And
yeah.
Aster could also maybe pick one of them themselves. So in theory, or wait, no, Aster has...
TSM has overall
TSM has last pick. Okay, so yeah. They should just decide if...
I think they're mid now, I think.
If they have a 3rd carry in mind, they can wait on it. If not, then take it now.
That's normally what I've heard people do. I mean,
They're going deep into reserve time too for this one.
We gave 2 good options. I think Ursa and Spark are both good.
Shadow.
SF? Okay, so
Grab in the mid.
Yeah.
How does Shadowfiend do against an Ember?
Dumpsters.
Good.
All right. That sounds like a good setup. That's a good place to start for TSM.
You also have a Requiem to fear people away from the egg.
Yeah.
True.
The Arcane Blink doesn't work anymore for Shadowfiend, right? It's just a cooldown reduction, so that unfortunately is...
Yeah, that thing...
I doubt that's even a strat now.
Will it be Underlord Coddle or Underlord Marana on the offlane?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think it's going to be Marana in the offlane. Coddle in the safe lane feels like it'd be better up against Beast than Phoenix, but
depends on the carry pick.
TSM.ftx as the commentary. Unfortunate.
Talk about that here.
Yep, sorry about that. Alchemist still in the pool, by the way. They do have percentage-based damage on both sides, though.
Not in the pool.
Okay, not in the pool, guys.
But,
Alchemist is gone.
Doom is in the pool, which is surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know if either team's going to grab him at this point because they already have their offlaners, but making it through the first phase is pretty rare for this tournament.
Yeah, ignored would even be more rare. Or would you say rarer?
TSM FTX.
Are you asking me because I'm American and I'm supposed to know English, or?
Yeah.
She looked right at you.
I'll throw it to Jenkins.
I don't know. I'm Canadian.
All right, well, we do have the Slark removed. The only one left in from the ones you mentioned is the Ursa. For TSM, there's still space for him on that lineup. And TSM looks to be banning out some Monet heroes. We already got Sniper removed.
I mean, it still could be an SF safe lane. I presume that does perfectly fine against an Underlord.
They ban out there, so.
FTX's
Oh,
Oh.
you got the coddle for the boosting of the mana shield.
I mean, don't you just AM here? They can still AM. Is it banned?
Not banned.
Basically, whatever it needs to be something that buys diffusal or has built in. Like
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, so
I like it.
Well, we did see yesterday 9 Pandas
5
winning
seconds remaining.
without doing that, without
That's
getting a
true.
Diesel hero.
Yeah.
They just ignored the Dusa
they did have 2 halberds.
with halberds. They kited her.
Would they go void?
You could void here. I mean, it's not so good against Underlord and Ember, the roots.
True.
they don't have much time to think.
Yeah, why not anti-mage though?
Juggernaut.
Yep.
Anti-mage.
All right,
good.
AM. Good call, Jenkins. I
What
think it
would
makes
make
sense
them
here.
confident picking Medusa here, 100% well knowing that AM was still in the pool?
They
Like,
don't
what-
care. They
makes
don't
them
respect the AM.
They don't?
I think the
Fair.
other Aster heroes are pretty good against AM. Like, the roots very good against this hero. You also have
That's
Auto
the
to give mana.
Okay, this is my question though. Slark obviously very good against Medusa. Lifesteal does not sound very good. Why would that be good against this hero at all? That's a weird one.
We've got our drafts. I think TSM is in a much better position than they were in the previous game. They've got some stuns. They've got some damage. They've got some late game. Aster, I don't mind their draft either. We're kind of questioning the Dusa. I agree. I'm not completely sure about this hero. But it's kind of trending up in popularity in this tournament. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think probably the matchup of AM versus Dusa got a lot worse with the patch, despite Dusa being probably a better hero than she was before. And TSM they actually have stuns this time, so should be good for them.
Yeah. I guess they banned the Lifesteal just because the lane against Underlord they don't want to deal with. It's not about the Medusa late game, so
Yeah.
that means they're confident in the late game regardless. I'll go Aster because they just look better.
They did look better. What's going to be your biggest point of attention for this game, Shannon?
For one team winning and the other team losing, that's probably going to be the most important thing to focus on.
Okay.
Especially when, you know, Aster really needs those wins to be able to get to that upper bracket potentially. TSM, I mean, their backs are against the wall, you know?
They need those wins for confidence.
Stop looking at me.
I'm watching mid. We've got a real rivalry here.
Yeah.
You know, you're the youngest up-and-coming mid laner, and then it was kind of Bryle. People thought, like, hey, is this the next Prodigy?
Sumail, yeah.
He's in a good matchup here, Shadow Fiend versus Ember. What can he get done? Is Sumail going to run this game over like he's done throughout this entire tournament? Or is TSM going to take their, you know, another win?
Sumail versus Bryle. A lot of people are going to be happy watching that one in the mid lane for sure. Let's find out how it's going to play out. We're heading over to OD Pixel and Fogged for the game.
Thank you very much, Shiva. Yeah, game two time here for TSM and Aster, and I'm looking forward to this one, Fog. We are indeed getting kind of two situations. I mean, the mid matchup in the lane, Bryle's on the SF, Sumail's on the Ember. Should be pretty good on paper for the SF. And then overall, the carries right. We've got Monet on the Medusa. Tomato, they very much let him pick this anti-mage. They left it in. So Aster saying they don't care about playing into the anti-mage when they do this Medusa strat. The question is, will they care by the end of this game? For what do you make of this? Do you think this is going to be another easy game for Aster as game one was, or they may have been a bit too risk-takey, really, with what they left in for TSM this time?
Maybe a bit too cheeky. We'll see. Because the lane matchup, like you said, SF has an advantage over the Ember quite hard. And yeah, AM, I want to see what build Tomato goes. I like what he's got queued up. If he does go down to the diffusal route, I actually think it's a really interesting one. You double dip on the mana break versus the Medusa.
Absolutely.
The one thing is, it's not just the Medusa. There's an Underlord, which just gives that damage reduction, give those auras, and there's a Coddle just pump up constantly. So we'll see. I actually do favor TSM's draft here, but I think Aster is just a better team overall. So we'll see how this execution ends up going down. As Whitemon, he looks pretty dead.
Yep, no, they'll blast him back. First blood for Sumail.
First blood.
Definitely gonna help kind of tip things back in Sumail's favor in that mid lane. You know, as you say, playing in a matchup could be tough for the Amber Spirit. Of course, you know, Sumail, he's been on quite a hot streak with his mid performances as of late. So very much a player that will be up for the challenge, and I can imagine does not care what goes up against him in that mid. He's ready to perform.
I'm gonna stare at mid, and I think there's definitely potential where it's not gonna just be a mid Ember in most situations. I think they're probably gonna rotate them around relatively early and set up for some kills, perhaps.
Sure. We'll get some early chains.
Yeah, early chains potentially, and then just set up for arrow kills, or there's just gonna be quick early TP rotations. And I'm staring. seeing how Sumail is going to do.
Yeah, let's have a look. I mean, because what would you sort of say percentage-wise this leans the way of an SF? Like,
from what I've seen, like
just
70-30, maybe even more than that, honestly. Like every single time these Embers just get next to nothing. So it might even be higher than that. We'll see how Sumail is able to handle it.
Sure. So anything close to like an even outcome in CS is a big win for the Ember.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I mean, Sumail, he definitely knows what he's doing because he's definitely played this matchup. He gets counterpicked constantly. He's a god of Ember Spirit. So he's already got an approach. Look, he's got boots right off the bat. So that's already interesting. Of course, he got first blood, which is definitely going to make it a little bit easier, perhaps, for him to dodge and stuff like that. So
yeah, I like that.
We'll see how it all goes down.
Yeah, it makes sense. We're getting the boots first, but instead of just trying to save it for the bottle, because at the end of the day, if the SF's hitting the raises, you're not really going to be able to sustain for it with the bottle regen. You've just got to do your best to dodge them.
And maybe now at this point too, like SF did get nerfed. It no longer slows turn rate.
Correct.
Which actually is pretty huge for something like these melee heroes to try to tank through. So I'm literally not looking at the other lanes. Good luck. Make sure we catch these first bloods and stuff like that, because this is the all-important one.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the other lanes, I guess the kind of the important thing to note is how difficult are both of these side lanes for the carries? Are both carries going to farm fine?
Overall, yeah, I think they should.
Tomato.
AM probably will be slowed down more than the Medusa, though.
Sure, well, we can
Because
see
he's versus Underlord.
XXS getting a good few denies in.
Yeah, Underlord, and there's Blinding Light constantly to harass him. So I'd say the Medusa should free farm, but maybe they can get some kills if Baboka's not careful. With the CM and the AM. CM and...
Yeah, I've got to ask as well, so with this anti-mage build, you just completely forego the Battle Fury, you go treads into Diffusal, and then you fight?
I've seen, I mean, I haven't seen it in a pro game. I've seen people in pubs theorycraft this and stuff like that, so I'm curious to just see it. I'm not too sure.
Okay. Just what with the idea that if you can get these treads and Diffusal at a good time, you will literally jump in on top of this Medusa at a point of the game where Monet he's just going to have nothing, and he'll just pretty much immediately die.
Treads Diffusal, man to dead. Yeah, you just hit him once pretty much with each of the illusions plus yourself, and he's gone. But there's also, like, there's going to be other factors, of course, to come in. The chakras and stuff. Top, Baboka. And they set up for him. He's got Blinding Light. He's got Blood Grenade. Tomato's committed deep.
Tomato's dying. He's dead. And now, I mean, XXS, he's not going to have quite enough mana for another Firestorm, so White Mom will be fine. Yeah, tried to chase for the kill there, and doesn't quite get it. Tomato ends up dying himself.
Dude, and Sumail, he's handling this.
I mean, he's
doing really well.
Absolutely, yeah, 13 for 2 against the 16 for 4. That is absolutely a more than okay result for an Ember against an SF.
That's poggers right there for sure. Sumail, he is doing it for now. Of course, it gets harder and harder, but he is doing excellent, and soon rotations will come. Of course, from that Mirana, we'll have to see. But yeah, this is big. The fact that Tomato dies once, that is definitely scary, because the last hitting up here versus an Underlord is difficult, and Baboka, I mean, he knows what to do in this lane. I love Blood Grenade, honestly. I think it's such a cool item that's changed dynamic of a lot of way that lanes can work out, because you jump forward, you get slowed, and then with Coddle 2, there's Blinding Light. There's like 2 or 3 different elements in order to stop carries from hitting you. I actually think even mid-game, this item is amazing.
Yeah, if you got a slot free, like, kind of why not? Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a good slow. It's just incredible in team fights. And if you land like a 3-man Blood Grenade, it's a good amount of damage even in mid-game.
I mean, how big sort of is the AoE when you throw out?
It's pretty big. It's pretty large for sure. Top Tomato.
I mean, XX says
he's just gonna hit him
back. I mean, Tomato. Honestly, he's kind of lucky that knocked him back towards his tower there.
Yeah, I mean, Baboka actually perhaps just saved.
A little bit of mercy there from the Keeper of the Light. Because, yeah, one more hit or such, and he would have absolutely been going down again.
And I'm watching Monet. He's definitely been playing this Medusa in pubs and stuff like that, or just practiced it a few times. Top again, they're committing. Tomato.
This time round, they'll get the job done.
There you go.
Hey, can they go for Baboka as well?
Damn.
He's got the Healing Lotus.
Never knocked them back. But there we go. Tomato able to get the kill this time.
Important.
They really needed that. You know, a couple of failed attempts onto the Underlord. It was starting to get a bit rough for Tomato. Ooh. Doesn't want to end up taking the tower hit, so won't be able to push forward for Baboka right now. And yeah, mid lane, keeping a track on it. Yeah, indeed. Brawl has the lead, but yeah, there's still great amounts of farm being found by Sumail in what is a very difficult sort of situation to be in as an Ember.
Yeah, and he's level 5. Yeah. So he's got good levels to constantly harass, poke this SF, and then the rotations, it could come if a slight chain comes out if the Mirana sees an option. And he's got raindrop already, so he should just survive every time. And I've seen a lot of times this lane, yeah, the SF just completely dumpsters it. So yeah, Sumail doing a good job, and he does buy a Blood Grenade, even on the Ember
one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a lot of harassment that can add up. Cool. And of course, in mid game, other things we have to talk about, of course, is there's a coddle, right? So besides the chakra being thrown onto this Medusa in a lot of situations, Ember is probably one of the top two.
Absolutely. I mean,
Tango, Ember, those are my two favorite mid laners.
For sure. You know, if Monet's not getting gone on at all or he's out of the fights, yeah, Ember is going to be top priority here for the Boca.
And looking at Monet, I'm really happy to see the kind of item build that he's gone for here. He has some stat items, and then Bassi is like one of the most valuable items to get on Medusa, and he's got 15 at wand charge.
Yeah, even with the mana low as it is, it's not really something that they can dive upon.
And the spam, it's starting to add up onto Bryle. They're trying to force him out of lane when this power rune is coming up. Even the Miranda's here.
I mean, somehow. Let's see if we can get the catch. Bryle, keep it to the distance. He's going to step back down and play aggressive. We'll take out Pichu.
Ooh, missed blood grenade there. Sumail tries to throw it backwards. And Ari, he's showing up also. Has dive, has spirits.
He's going to go aggressive on Sumail. Knows that Sumail still hasn't quite hit the 6. Won't be able to do enough damage on his own though, Ari.
Whitemon, there's a slide up.
A little bit low though, Sumail, and doesn't want to play too aggressive until he has 6.
So far pretty good from TSM though. After the mid lane was, I mean, it's still impressive to Sumail, only 300 are able to find a shadow feed, but across the board, the lanes are far below TSM. And what's the stack situation look? The Beastmaster. Yep. I mean, Kastani, this is his best hero. Yeah. So he's got 4 stacks already set up to go for these axes. So has arcane boots to be able to spam it down too.
Tomato should be able to pretty much free farm now. Yeah. I mean, XXS, he's basically unkillable. I mean, well, 4 heroes might sort out the unkillable sort of position he's in, of course, with his Vanguard. Obviously, once he's out of mana, Tomato barely tickles him. Sumail's going to be coming in with a rotation. Get caught by the frostbite. A couple of razors coming in, bursting Sumail down low. Won't be able to jump away. Tomato considering diving the tower for that one, but he won't go for it. Going to turn towards Baboka instead, but Baboka's already back to the lane. TSM won't be able to find the kill here.
And they're going to give Sumail the Wisdom Rune as well, too. They are all about Sumail. I mean, they have been in a lot of these games. They just, the opening picks, everything they do is just to set up this man for success, and they actually give him a Wisdom Rune. Support's definitely going to be a bit under-leveled because of that, but they want to just play around this Ember's.
Oh, please.
Chains.
Chain set up.
Ooh, they didn't kill the creep in time.
Oh, yeah, weren't able to clear the way for the arrow, so Tomato, he'll get away from that gang.
They even, I think they glyphed there, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they glyphed just in case to try to keep that creep alive there from TSM. That was kind of...
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did, Jay, right. Coming forward down. Sumail in the river. Couple of raises. Oh, it's not enough. Oh, he's in and he's out. Yari, look for the finisher with the spirits.
He's got him.
He's going to think about going for the deny to the neutral. Sumail, he tries to aggro them. He's got the ball charge. In fact, Sumail, he's still alive.
No way.
I think sort of during the slight, he dodged maybe a tick of the fire spirits. The sunray is still there, though. Sumail, he's running out of options. Will not get away, but it does sort of drag enough focus that Peach is actually able to come in and take the double kill as they take out the 2 supports of TSM themselves.
And Sumail, he'll give respect to that. He's like, all right, you deserve it. Commits forward for the kill on Ari. Bryle starting to really pull ahead now. About 1,300 difference between him and Sumail, and Tomato getting all the space in the world to get this farm. Vanguard's done.
Yeah.
Gonna be getting toward that.
I mean, yeah, those early moves for Sumail definitely cost him a bit of momentum.
And even though he did get Wisdom Rune, he is still behind in gold and experience, of course, versus Bryle. They have fill up Bryle's bottle, keep this SF ahead.
This is a start TSM needs, you know. The SF having a lead, as should be. And, of course, the anti-mage, Tomato, getting decent farm.
All 3 cores having excellent games. And Kastani now, at this point, he can be left on an island because he's not playing in the lane. He's just jungling. So these supports, they can just keep moving around together, setting up the AM and the SF for success. Same thing to be said, though. Aster is continuing to play around Sumail. They have the chakra, they have the chains plus the arrow. They're going to look to hit back here.
They want to do something about Tomato. I mean, they know that if Tomato hits his timings, if he gets this Vanguard defusal, there'll absolutely be a point of this game where Monet, he'll be terrified of this anti-mage showing up and punching him.
They look to make the move down on bottom, but at the same time, the top move is happening onto Tomato.
Yeah, they really want to get Tomato. Gonna be able to find the instant opening. Sumail will chase down with the Remnants, looking for the chains connection. We'll get it into the arrow. And that'll do it. They take Tomato out. The mission's a success.
And Monet, I think he read the move that's going to be coming from TSM. He actually goes through the Twin Gate as the supports from the side of TSM are moving.
Oh,
so they join his team.
Yeah, and get away from that potential gang. And now be in position to try and push down this tier 1.
Good read from Monet. Bottom, Rune, Sumail. Can't get it from Bryle.
Radiant structures.
TSM, they're just going to push tower instead of reacting to top. It moves all around.
Radiant's bottom tower
5 to
is under
4.
attack.
TSM, a slightly more comfortable position, of course. They're actually looking to defend. They're gonna send XXS down bottom. He's got the Fiend Gate, so he can rally his team over.
Can they kill this Underlord? Or they don't want to go on him?
With SF, they can. XXS, he's at one Firestorm and he's getting out. Yeah.
He was like, all right, boys, I'll hold the tower. Oh, hang on, there's 4 heroes here. I'd rather not.
His team's probably making the call. He's probably telling them, like, hey, I can Fiends get you guys down. And then someone probably makes the call. No, not
we ain't
point.
going down.
There ain't no point.
Not against this SF right now, Bryle.
No.
Looking pretty scary.
They're looking to make their own moves. Set up around mid. Ari. Fire Spirits to slow it down. Chains, connect, arrow.
Gloves there. In with the burst. It's enough. Sumail able to finish off the kill with the slider fish. Further TP's coming in, though. Sumail. Left the Remnant ready in the river. He's away from Bryle.
Chakra Ember. It's so much fun to watch. I mean, not as a support, of course. You just get deleted. But
slide chain.
It's always fun to see how much they really do play around Sumail. It's super interesting.
And I guess one of the things that just really validates the max chains build. No points in Flame Guard on an Ember.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really go Flame Guard versus SF in the match. But the arrow, it connects.
They've got the follow-up. This time round, the burst. It's going to be enough, Bryle. He's trying to run, but it'll tick out.
Those are absolutely massive kills. They just stepped up. They're allowing themselves to just get spammed out here from the Slight Chains.
And this, of course, will sort of be the playstyle that will become a bit of a detriment to the AM, right? Because even if Tomato's able to get a good time with his Vanguard Diffusal, sure, he's going to feel great punching the Medusa, but if it's a Medusa that's in the middle of the entirety of the team of Aster, looking in and killing the Medusa and getting out alive, it's maybe going to cause issues for Monet, but you'll almost certainly die when you're coming into the 5-man push of Aster.
They've got cash, they've got the Underlord, the pit, they've got the Slight Chains that are constantly going to be tripping up the AM also. Yeah, I know that. I've played versus this beast a couple times, of not just the coddle with the Medusa, but it's with the Underlord too, because the auras, it all adds up and makes a huge difference. And there's Slight Chain. Not having the follow-up.
I mean, he's ready to chase those Sumail, and he's in. Another Slight Fist will do it.
He does it himself. Doesn't need the arrow.
Now dominating. So those first few movements slowed down his game, but he's absolutely catching back up here. 5-1 and 3 now on Sumail.
That was a pretty crazy blink forward from Tomato.
They get the Frostbite into the Raw. Sumail, he'll get taken out this time. Backup's coming in from XXS, but Bryle will put the Requiem to push back. But Pichu and XXS make sure that they can't focus in onto Tomato, and Tomato has the space to retreat. Whitemon will get caught on the escape, so Aster they'll find something. They do get Sumail there, TSM. Tomato getting involved, getting out of there. He can get back on track to finishing off this Diffusal.
Great roar there from Kasane. Catches Sumail off guard. I mean, Tomato's blinks are a bit aggressive here so far, but this one ends up working out. Almost has Diffusal done. About 500 or so away from it, I believe.
How much mana are you burning there between the two of them? Passive and such.
It's like over 100.
It's yeah, you're right. We need sort of the percentage, 4%.
Yeah. They're hunting him though, Tomato. To be a bit careful down here. The Twin Gate down. Mel knows though. Doesn't connect with the chains.
Not quite.
They're gonna refresh him up though.
Gonna try and chase. He's out again with another blink.
Doesn't get the chains again. Arrow.
Could look for the angle. They've got the root. To follow up. And the blink's back up. Tomato's away. Kasane, no roll for 24 seconds.
TSM's got the numbers coming in.
Aster, they've got to be cautious now. A set of axes coming in, but Pichu's able to dodge it with the leap.
Ward sentry. They'll find that ward themselves. Focus Courier will die. Monet is connecting over. Level 12. Stone Gaze is on. Looking to hit back here.
Bryle trying to get in close and personal, set up the raises onto XXS.
As soon as Monet shows up, they're like, yeah.
They just back out, leave Whitemon behind, everybody else out.
And Monet is at a point now where he can fight with his team pretty easily. But, I mean, Tomato is soon going to be there as well, where he can start joining in. He still has to be careful, of course, because of Slight Chains, but Sumail?
They're going to pop the egg.
They have a roar.
I mean, they're going to be able to kite it out. He does have it if he can get in range, but he's going to get knocked back by the blast hit on Baboka, and this is going to give space for Aster to take down this tier 1 by the looks of it. They still have the roar, but they don't have the Supernova to play around in the team fight, TSM. And this tower is taken.
Bottom tower has fallen.
The next item is going to be that really tough one for them to deal with. And honestly, Monet, I like this. If he does commit forward for it, decides not to do it, but he was buying the Talisman Evasion and then selling it.
It's one of those games where it's legit to get the early butterfly, because your biggest threat is this anti-mage jumping in and trying to hit you with his passive, with his diffusal blade. If you can dodge those hits, your effective HP, your survivability is going to go up. You know, back to where you hope to have it as a Medusa.
Absolutely. He bought it and then sold it immediately, maybe thinking like, okay, now, you know what, the team's going to play without me for some time, so I'm going to get the time prior to farm and finish that butterfly. So for TSM, it does feel like right now is a window where they kind of have to look for a fight just to be able to get these kills with this Diffusal and make it pay off.
Tomato.
He'll find some
Again onto Sumail. The mana's gone on Sumail.
Pumped up, though.
Coming in, the Mana Void will not be enough to finish off Sumail, and now Tomato, he's in trouble.
Oh, God.
They've got him.
He waited a long time for that Mana Void. But Baboka gets there to be able to pump him up. I think he waited too long to Mana Void.
Level 1 Mana Void is pretty pathetic.
It's true.
It doesn't do a lot of damage, so even if it came at a different time, I don't know if it would have been quite enough.
Okay.
And I think that's sort of why that hesitation was there from Tomato as well. He already kind of knew that damage wasn't going to be quite there to take down Sumail.
Whitemon now also in trouble. It's down. That was the timing, though. That was the first showing of the Diffusal Blade.
That was right. He had it done.
He's now going to be off the map for some time. It's going to buy Monet time to finish up Butterfly. Concerns for TSM starting to rise. I feel like I honestly, it does feel like they've got to go fight, perhaps with Tomato.
I mean, you have to when you've done this Vanguard Diffusal build.
Yep.
You know, you're not hitting creeps. You're built to kill.
And Bryle, he actually shows himself for a second. An arrow. It's going to be another slight chain.
It's going to land. Right onto Bryle. Supernova's going to be popping. Bryle, he's so low. Monet's going to be able to finish him off. It's Bryle dead. They're just able to take him out. And TSM, they can't do anything to stop Aster from getting the kill.
They're getting outplayed just from slight chains over and over again. I mean, Sumail, he's landing every single one with the arrow follow-up, and he's got 2 rounds of it constantly.
I mean,
maybe Tomato's feeling a bit scared because he is playing into these roots, where he's like, okay, maybe I do need like a Manta.
Sure, I mean,
but you don't want to farm versus this Dusa who's gonna get a butterfly and then you have no timing.
Especially when you have Vanguard Diffusal, you haven't got sort of the Battle Fury or anything.
Yeah.
You know, this was the game plan, and I think we're very much seeing why Aster. They didn't really care what TSM picked in response. They didn't care about this SF into Ember because they knew how strong the Ember Core would be in this portion of the game, and they didn't care about this anti-mage because whilst indeed AM versus Medusa in a vacuum feels fantastic for the AM, you throw all the other components into this, and this anti-mage, no Tomato, even though he's got this Vanguard Diffusal, he feels terrible about jumping into the fights because they're probably going to be able to kite him out, split the Medusa from him, and then kill him off.
Oh, and she's pretty much going to have Diffusal done, and I feel like for Aster, they can just be like, okay, let's now accelerate things even more. It's not for Roshan.
He said Diffusal.
Oh, sorry, Butterfly.
Butterfly, yeah, right.
You know what I meant. But yeah, he's going to have Butterfly. Yeah, I think right after, maybe even before he does have it finished, they can go Roche, and then TSM's forced in a position that they got to fight around Roche, and they're very fragile right now. SF, Bryle, he is literally just going to constantly die to all this magic damage.
I mean, it's been happening the last few times. He's fallen behind, lowest on the cores right now, Bryle.
Oh, it's starting to look rough.
It is. Already just 18 minutes in, Aster looking to be in a very good spot, and TSM's sort of supposed counter picks not really doing a whole lot right now.
And look at the support differential too, right? Just they're so farmed on everybody on the side of Aster.
And they go all in on a XXS here, and they'll get it.
They do.
Marta, he's on the hunt for more. He needs it.
He needs more.
He'll be able to get the setup onto Baboka. Now find another.
Okay. Now I think they go Roche. I think this is the window for TSM to actually get it. They get 2 big kills.
You've got this SF, the Beastmaster. Yeah, you've got good setup here to safely take down Roshan, and with 2 dead on Aster, should be enough of a window to get away with this. So TSM finding an opportunity to get back in a little bit on this game with this play.
Honestly, Kasani's kind of carrying them a little bit here. This Beastmaster, the Royal connection from earlier, now with his auras, he's been farming quietly, top of the net worth for his course, but the fight, it's coming to them.
Yeah,
they're respawning in time.
They're going to look to try and take the fight before coming in for the roast. Sumail's charging immediately in on them.
Monet's here with
as well.
Butterfly.
Has been killed.
I mean, yeah, Aster's back up as a full 5, and they're ready to go. And TSM, they're in an awkward spot right now. What do they do to get out of this? Ari does have Supernova. He'll pop it. Requiem as well.
Monet.
Push Aster back.
0 damage done to this Dusa.
And Bryle, he's so low. He's got to pretty much hide out the rest of this fight in the trees. He tries to TP away, but Sumail, he's in on top of him with the Remnant.
They're surrounded.
Bryle's gone. TSM, they didn't have the capability of taking Roche because they just didn't have the damage right now. They don't have quite enough items to take it down quicker than Aster can get to them because this tier 1 tower still there on the top lane for easy access. towards the pit. He'll turn with the roar onto Sumail.
He's got it.
But he's on his own. Completely on his own, Kasani. A failed TP, and will result in another kill for Aster. As Aster, they'll continue to get back to growing that lead.
Oh, and this is the moment there for TSM. It's like, yeah, they get these kills, but you know what? At New Roche, it's tanky. You can't actually just bring it down, even though you have the auras coming from Underlord. It's 37
yeah, they
armor.
didn't have enough.
They don't have enough damage.
They didn't even really bring it close, right?
No, not even close.
As will now be a chance for Aster. You see all smiles here from Sumail. He knows how well this is going. I mean, honestly, any sort of Ember player, when you got the back of a call, you're having a great time.
You are. You're having a blast.
You know, Sumail, he is loving Baboka right now.
I mean, and Monet is having the dream. Look at this.
Yep.
So it's 1-0-6. They haven't touched the Dusa. 4,000 ahead of the counter, of course, versus that anti.
Well, that's the thing. That is the concern with this build as the end. You've got this Vanguard Refusal. It's 21 minutes in. You've just not been able to abuse that sort of strength you feel that you have against the Medusa. And honestly, the matchup, it's just not going to feel any better because of how much this Medusa is completely out farming you. 13.5k on Monet, Tomato. He's trying to get this Manta done. But even with that, he's going to jump in, and himself and the illusions will get cleaned up very, very quickly by Aster. It's very difficult to play us from behind now as the anti-mage.
It gets like worse and worse because the Medusa overall is more enabled than the anti-mage as well too, to just have that late game progression with an Underlord aura, with the chakras constantly being thrown out, and they're even building like Solar Crest and stuff like that to even pump her up even more.
Because I've been wondering as well, because I haven't really seen any sort of these games where the anti-mage has been left against the Medusa and the anti-mage is picked. Is this the normal approach to go Vanguard Diffusal rather than still get the Battle Fury and then kind of play to keep your farm on par? But, you know, of course, opt for the, just start with the basics. Still get the Battle Fury, the Manta, maybe slipping a Diffusal Blade after. I mean, what do you think the correct way to go against the Medusa is if you're getting the AM pick?
It all depends on, I think both builds can work. It's all about how you play around it though, right? So I feel like this game, he was like, Bryo's struggling, so they wanted to build the fight earlier to try to maybe get Bryo back in the game, but I mean, it just isn't working. TSM, things just not working. He is just in.
He's just walking around behind their Ancient. They couldn't do anything about him. As Brown, he's got the BKB at 22 minutes in.
I'm trying to check to see about the... Because I don't think we've got... The sample size is small, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For now.
We're starting to get a few of these Medusa games coming out, and I imagine in a lot of the Medusa games, the anti-mage is normally banned.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe after this one, you know, Monet and Aster very much making an argument for, hey, you know what, you don't need to worry about an anti-mage.
So looking at all the games that we've had here at this tournament, there has been no anti-mage versus the Medusa. In pubs, you know, you can theory craft all that kind of stuff, but in pro games, it's different. Wrap around.
Handle, look at the jump. Immediately blowing up XXS. Question is, what more can they get after that? The volts to start off the action, and now what more can they go for off the back of that TSM? I mean, Aster, they're just kind of straight back to hitting the base. They're like, okay, you've shown your hand. We'll go back to pushing the high ground. Tomato jumped in. They've got him with the arrow. Monet beating into him. Won't have enough damage, though. Tomato's able to split away. The supernova off to the side. Aster, they'll focus and take down the A.
No hesitation from XXS. Instant buyback into Fiend's Gate to join his buddies.
And Tomato, that turns to Sumail. Sumail out of mana. Tomato does not want to stand his ground. As the buff ups there, Sumail, he's got more mana to play with. Another slight change. Manta's still on cooldown. Tomato, he'll get another blink off, but he's going down. Slider fist there from Sumail.
No buyback.
He's out of the game for 45. They took the full set of racks down bottom. Very much feeling that once again, this game, as was sort of the game one, it just doesn't really have any sort of recovery plan here for TSM. I don't know how they turn this one around.
Honestly, Aster it looks like a team that's been playing with Sumail for a very long time.
It really does. They just work so well together.
And you know what the crazy, you know, I know Jenkins, he always likes to talk about the bubbies, and it's like Baboka and XXS, they're like these teammates that's played together forever.
Sure.
Baboka is just playing literally with Sumail the entire game and just buffing him up and enhancing him so that he's having this really good performance. 8-2 and 9 on Ember, who was in versus the SF. I just cannot keep reiterating how important that is.
I mean, absolutely. We're seeing sort of better coordination between Sumail and Aster. Compared to a lot of other teams here on land. You know what I mean? This is not a sort of a lineup where they've got Sumail as the stand-in and they're putting him on some sort of heavy, greedy position that sort of plays separate to the moves of the team.
No.
He's in there, he's running around the map with them. And even in a game like this where the first sort of movements weren't off to a hot start, they stuck to it, they played together, and 24 minutes in, 20-8, 10k, it's looking fantastic again today here for Aster.
I've gotten to cast Aster a lot because I did like the DPC a couple of times for them, and honestly, this just looks the cleanest that they're playing. They just have great synergy. And TSM,
they're closing down games up.
And Tomato,
he's jumped in.
He's gone, and he has no buyback.
Yeah, they may call it soon. There's a full daedalus on Monet.
Absolutely massive, an untouched Medusa.
Yeah, and just respect to Aster for the draft, as they left them. They didn't care. SF into Ember, whatever. Sorry, Ember into SF, whatever. Medusa into Anti-Mage, we don't care.
Hey, Bryle just keeps getting caught by these arrows. Slight chain arrow, slight chain arrow. Monet's in. He wants to end it.
So man, he's going to be ready to jump in after the Supernova if he wants to. He could play super aggressive here. A slight holding back TSM. As Aster, they just have all the space in the world to take out the mid set of barracks.
Really clever, I mean, really well played here from Aster. Another one. They'll find him. They've even also, the other thing is, like, it's been a lot of just Aster dominating, but they've also just been passing healing lotuses to this Medusa most of the game. That's the second, I think, great healing lotus that she's had on her, which is probably the most valuable hero to actually have it.
Well, I was trying to set something up in the mid, but
last chance from Tomato.
Not going to happen. They're all buffed up here, Aster, pretty much full HP. They're about to take the mega creeps as well.
It's only 26 minutes on. Ryle's just dying to the firestorm. Oh, look at it jump in.
He's going to try and go for the Boca.
But he's blocked away.
He's not back by the blood. The man of Boca.
He's silent.
He really wants to kill Tomato. He's desperately chasing this. He will get it. He's able to take down Baboka. They've dealt with the supports, but they're not dealing with the cores. And the buybacks are coming in from Aster's two backups. Tomato. He tries to go for Baboka again. It's not happening. As he'll walk away.
He's killing his items.
Delete his items. He'll call it. This game, this series, it's over. GG. At 27 minutes in, Aster take this game too. And yeah, just once again, some really top-tier Dota coming out from Aster here.
Yeah, Baboka right there. Legend. Time and time again. His coddle has been a thing of legend for some time, but yeah, he played so well with Sumail. They really dictated, the two supports and him dictated the majority of the pace of the game, gave Monet a completely free game to just hit the creeps, come in when he